Hey, okay, it is so chilly out and windy, so if you cannot hear me, I'm sorry. I'm apologizing. I can't help it, there's a lot of wind. I'm joking. If you can't hear me, then I'm gonna have to reshoot the video. So look, I wanted to make a video about, it's a beautiful day. It is a beautiful, beautiful day, and I'm out walking as normal with my boy, Apollo. And I'm talking about ego today because this is kind of the primary reason why people are coming to me for coaching. It's because they have too much going on in their heads and they cannot stop their thinking. So for me, this is really important because I don't think you can do anything without really coming to yourself. And I mean, look, we get a lot of stuff done. We're doing a lot of stuff all the time. We're getting things accomplished. We're successful without my theory, okay? But the thing that I've learned is to have consistent happiness, good health, consistent good mood is to build trust and to have trust in something. And to me, there are really 4 parts of consciousness, or 4 parts of being. There's the soul, which is holds your memory. Your soul is the reason, or holds your reason for coming to Earth, for having the experience that you're having. It's the key to your personality, to your astrology, it's your numerology. It's all the spiritual reasons and the energetic reasons of why you came to Earth as a consciousness, living the life that you're living. It's the reason why. It's because it's all contained in your soul, yeah? Then there's your higher self. And to me, your higher self is that part of you that is totally connected to God. Hey, Apollo, nobody, come on. Although my dog is much smarter than I am. He's actually going to a good place. I'm going to go where he's going. I'm telling him to come back because I want it to be my idea. It needs to be my idea. You're right, buddy. You're right. Mommy's wrong. Go ahead. So, there's the soul, which I said has your memory. Also has your karma. It's like the way you access the Akashic records in a second is to go to your soul. Your soul has it all, yeah? And actually, that's not the right way to go. We have to go up to the next level. Or do we? Shoot, I'm a little lost. Yeah, actually, we go up to the next level. Come on, Apollo, but you do have the right idea. Let's go this way. Right, then there's the higher self. Now, the higher self I consider to be that part of you that is connected to the divine, that is connected to source energy. It's like your God self, individualized as you. Yeah, it's a monad. Some people call it the monad. Not some people, that's a concept. But it's that part of you that is like connected and knows it all. But it's the one you that is not subject to ego, yeah? It's the bigger part of us, the bigger part of ourselves. So the third part is that part we all know and love, and it is the ego. And the egoic self is the part that is the personality. It's the part that is tied to the 3 dimensions. It's the part that thinks. It's the part that, hey bud, come up here. Come on. It's the part that is wedded to the senses. Yeah, the sensorial self is what I wanted to say. And it's the part that thinks and the part that is really not wanting to feel pain. It wants to avoid pain. And more than anything, the most important thing about ego is that it's the part that separates. It's the part that houses your identity. This is some thick stuff that I'm walking through right here. Anyway, it houses your identity. So, come on, bud. They're picking olives today. It's harvest time here in Tuscany. Anyway, so the ego is that part of you that the part of you that you most identify with, most likely. You know, that's kind of how we live our lives. We're really kind of taught to, as children, we come in without an ego, and then we're taught, and or our ego develops, and we're taught to really kind of like retreat into that and to become that. And so we really identify with our ego most of all. The thing that I'm wanting to kind of get people to understand is that there's another kind of dimension of the self, which is like this dimension that I call just consciousness. And it's that part of you that has a choice in any moment to identify with any of the other parts that I just described, or I like to identify with any one part of the parts I described, or the ability to identify with all the parts that I described, which would actually be wholeness. And in which case, when you are identifying with all four parts, there's no separation. You're just fully aligned, and you're in acceptance, yeah? And there, you basically lose identity because you're identified with everything. Yeah, that's kind of the highest realm of existence as I kind of understand it. So the reason why I wanted to make this video is because I wanted to talk to you about the way, how to kind of reach those higher states, to reach that higher state of alignment, which basically means that you're going to manage your ego and not be ruled by it so much, yeah? So to keep your ego at bay, that's that part of you that identifies with separation, like identity. The one thing that I think you really need to do on a regular basis is to meditate consistently. And in your meditation, you're going to come back to yourself, or come to some state of alignment that feels connected to something other than your ego. So with your ego, there's always a story. There's always there's the past. That's what the ego kind of goes off of. Or there's the future, which the ego is always trying to get to. And the thing that you know with ego is that it's rarely ever the now. And here, just to show you, like, the dog is so not an ego figure. He's just hanging out, scratching. He's just scratching his itch. That's all he's doing. He just follows whatever feels great for him in the moment. And right now, the thing that feels great for him is rubbing in this really dry, hard grass, which I think feels great for him in the sunlight. Gives him a nice scratch. And he doesn't care if there are ticks in it. That's totally being egoless. He's not afraid of anything. He's just doing what he feels, you know. It feels really nice for him to just be. And for me, my ego is like, don't rub in that grass. It's full of ticks. I'm going to have a lot of work to do when I get home. So the way I manage this part of me that is all concerned about tics is to get up in the morning and meditate consistently. Every morning, without fail, I meditate. Every evening, without fail, I meditate. So, for me, the meditation that I do brings me back to the truth of who I am. It's about my higher self. And for me, the higher self is not really a concept of me as a bigger person or a better person. The higher self for me is simply silence. That is the realm of the higher self. It's not something that you can actually grasp with your mind because it's a mindless state. It doesn't think itself. It doesn't think the environment. It simply is the environment. I'm sorry, I always have the phone so close because I make my videos kind of like on a whim, and so my arm is extended, then my arm gets tired, so my arm gets closer and closer and closer, and the next thing you know, I'm like just holding it right here because it's the most comfortable way to hold this thing. I really gotta get better. Or do I? Anyway, so that's the concept of the higher self. This is sweet. Oh, wow. This is some kind of a mint. I'm going to show you this lovely, it's budding right now, but it's a lovely herb. And I can smell it so strongly. And I do believe it's some kind of like, it's like mint, but it's also like oregano. I wonder if it's some hybrid of oregano and mint that have kind of come together out here. Oh, and there's rabbit poo. This is why we come here, because there's rabbit poo. I love just being in nature. The house is in the background there. I don't know if you can see it because the sun is shining, but it's over here, and so we're down in the field just below the house. It's really nice out here right now, standing in the sunlight. Okay, so look, I'm all over the place. What are you eating, bud? Oh, he's eating the dry, hard grass. You should probably not do that. Anyway, okay, so right. Meditation on the higher self is the number one thing that I think you can do every day. And like I was saying, getting into a place of silence is where you are at one with everything. So again, in my theory, in my philosophy, the mind is the thing that separates us from oneness. It's the thing that identifies, that comforts the ego and fuels the ego. And so your primary thing to do is going to be to silence your mind. And a lot of people find this to be really challenging, and I don't blame you. I don't blame you. It's not easy to do. But it's essential that you practice every day. You don't have to get it right all the time. That's not what it's about. When I sit down to meditate every morning and every night, it's not that I'm looking to find perfect silence. Meditation is a practice. It is not a perfection. If you get it perfect, great. But who's judging that? Ego is judging that. So just the very fact that you're like, oh, this is a perfect meditation, is like taking you out of the moment and putting you into a state of judgment and deeming something, you know, like judging something. And that's not what meditation is about. Meditation is a practice in and of itself. And that's what makes it's so powerful. Oh my God. I'm telling you, nature is just so amazing. There are these clusters of mushrooms, and there are so many different types of mushrooms in this field. Just right here are these mushrooms. Yeah, I hope you can see those. I hope I'm showing them to you. And then over here are these mushrooms. And then over here is this mushroom. And the dog, who is like, "What are you doing, Mom? What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm going to lay on these mushrooms." And it's just so interesting because, and this is why I love nature so much, because she's just doing her thing. And she's always going to feed those that are just in alignment with her, you know? So what I like to do is come out here and meditate while I'm walking the dog. Now, I don't really feel all that comfortable just sitting down in the grass because it's often wet. It's damp in the mornings. Like you can see there are all these clouds here. So it's either raining or foggy. And today in this moment, we just happen to have a clear sunny moment, but obviously the clouds are really rolling out. And so anyway, sitting down to meditate out here is not going to happen for me because I don't like getting my butt wet. However, standing out here with my dog while he's running around and just connecting to the earth, connecting to the sky, connecting to the view, you know, whatever it is, connecting with these awesome mushrooms, this to me is absolutely divine. And God, I just find this to be so beautiful. Mushrooms growing together, like just harmonizing, growing. It's just beautiful to me, and my dog loves it. We're both happy out here. And this for me is a great place just to even stand. And in the morning and in the evening, you know, when I'm doing my walks, I will stop and take a meditation just right here, you know, and feel whatever it is that I'm feeling. Silencing my mind. It's so powerful to me. It doesn't have to be long. If you can silence your mind for 2 seconds, that's an excellent start. If you can silence your mind for 5 seconds, hey, you've grown. Doesn't matter how long you do it. Tara Brach, in one of her Vipassana meditations, she says, basically, she's like, there's an opportunity every time your mind wanders off and starts thinking, and in your meditation, you bring it back gently to the moment. She's like, that's an opportunity. What you're doing is you're creating a pathway for your mind to come back home to silence. And isn't that wonderful in and of itself? Aren't you doing terrific work right there, you know? So that goes to show, you know, Tara Brach, I don't know if you know her or not, but she wrote a book called Radical Self-Acceptance. I think that's what it's called, Radical Self-Acceptance. It's just wonderful, man, because it's really loving to see yourself wandering off. Oh, I'm thinking about the groceries. I'm thinking about what he said. I'm thinking about what she said. And I'm mad and I'm this and I'm that. And then there's that loving tug that you give yourself where you're just like, hey, come home. Come back to silence. And you do. And you anchor your mind in something that is soft, like your breathing. For me, out here, it's so easy to anchor. I can anchor in the sound of the wind. I can anchor in the sound of the guys chopping wood. I can anchor in the sound of, I can anchor in the feeling in my feet of the grass. I can anchor in my breath. I can anchor in watching the dog and the grass and the light. I can anchor in what I see in my visual field. I can anchor in the mushrooms. I gotta be really honest with you. Those mushrooms look totally good enough to eat. Like, I have a feeling like those are edible mushrooms, but I know nothing about mushrooms. I know they can be really dangerous, so I'm not gonna eat the mushrooms. But I gotta say, they look nice and firm and full of vitality. And that makes me wanna take some home, saute them in a little bit of olive oil and some herbs. But I ain't eating those mushrooms because, you know. But they could be portobello mushrooms. Could these be portobello mushrooms? No, they couldn't be. I'm going to show you the mushrooms again. Let's see, maybe if I come from this angle. I don't know, man. They're awesome, though. Look at these. Here's another patch. You know, the other day, Apollo and I were out, and I've seen a lot of fairy circles. And fairy circles you'll know because see, here's another type of mushroom. There's another type. And it's got the dew still clinging to it. That's really interesting how the water is clinging to it and there's not a lot of water around here. Like there's no water clinging to the grasses, but they're clinging to that mushroom. So interesting. So interesting. Okay, look, I've totally brought you into my world. Here's another type of mushroom. Here's a different one. I'm just having a good old time. Okay, I should probably wrap up my video, huh? Because I'm wandering now and maybe the wind is too high for me to really be. Oh, but I was talking about the fairy circle. I should probably just finish up with that. Hey, bud. Apollo. Come on, buddy. Come. I love watching my dog run. I don't know if you can see him. Oh, there he is. He is so sweet. Good boy, Apollo. Bravo. Love having a dog. The best. Having a dog is the best. All right, so I'm wrapping things up, and I'm going to say that there are more steps to managing your ego, but the first step is getting in touch with your higher self. You got to do that every day. Starting point. You got to have a strong relationship with your higher self so that you can actually create home for your ego and your mind to come back to as you are going about your life, as you're going about your day. You meditate in the morning. You set up a relationship of who you are. You identify with the broader part of yourself, not so much with the identity, the personality part and its story, right? Not the past or the future, coming to the present, which is what the higher self does. You do that, and you create an anchor for yourself to start your day. That way, when your ego starts running around like crazy and starts trying to control things and driving you, you are already connected and anchored with your higher self. So it's easier to bring your ego, to come out of your ego, or to bring your mind back to silence, back to a place of peace and trust. All right, that's the first step. I got like 12 steps, but that's the first one, and that's the video for today. All right, totally signing off, wishing you all the best. Bye for now.